Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee to order. First item on our agenda is to approve minutes for our April 7th meeting.
So moved.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Are there additions or corrections? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries. Mr. Beatty, our county trustee, will give the investment report, and then he will remain in his chair because you have a small budget amendment also.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You can see the LGIP rate is down 1 basis point. We did have a couple of bids since our last meeting, and you can see those. One was at 1%, and the other was at 0.3, which was the next best bid, so kind of a wide disparity in those. We did have one thing that's a little unusual for us. There is a small account that we manage for Eagleville High School. It is a reward for their valedictorian. The interest off of that money is a scholarship for their valedictorian. If you can see, when we bid that, we actually got no bids, but we bid on the same day. We had another bid, and we were able, on the bid from Beacon Federal, they took that smaller amount and gave us the 1% on that money for Eagleville, which I'm sorry it's not more, but as you can see from our sheets, that's the best we could do, and I appreciate them working with us just to get that done.
Approve report.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Discussions or questions for Mr. Beatty? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. And Mr. Beatty, your budget amendment.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that is a transfer of $65 where we, not a large amount, but where we ran into an expense of getting our Smyrna location up and running, and we just needed to transfer that money to cover that expense in Smyrna.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin.
Second.
Second by Commissioner
Moving
Jordan.
for $65.
Yeah. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Gentlemen, if you will locate your fund condition report, our Finance Director, Mrs. Nolan, will begin with the development tax report.
In April, we received $81,000 in development tax. That brings our total for 10 months to $732,000.
And we budgeted,
1.1 million. Don't believe
we're
we'll
not
make it.
going to make it.
Believe we'll make it this year.
Shall we move on to cash balances, please?
At the end of April, we had $182,283,000, with $179,469,000 being operating funds, $2,814,000 being borrowed funds. I think there might have been some discussion on the general fund, why it appears that there is more revenue, or more cash. But in the last fiscal year, we did not have the development tax in the general fund. So for comparison, for the April 10, you would have to add Fund 101 and 125 to get the comparison to the cash in the general fund this year. On the ambulance fund, where it looks like they do have less cash, what was going on in April 2010 to begin the ambulance, that's the first year that we had the ambulance fund out to itself, and we transferred or loaned them $3 million to get started. So that $5.4 million has a $3 million balance in it that will be paid back before the end of that was paid back before the end of the fiscal year last year.
So it's already completely paid back.
Yes, so on that one, you really are comparing 2.4 million compared to 3.6.
account 264, does that mean that we are having to spend less on the insurance this year, or is
No,
that just,
You know, we try to, do you remember, well, when Ms. Stinson comes in and brings that very last total, the OPEB, there is some monies that are accumulating to try to offset
okay,
that expense, so it's not, I mean, that is one thing, I believe what she has shown in the past, that we have had negative trend, meaning that we are spending less,
mhm,
and so that's a factor of it too.
okay.
So between those two. You see a small 424,000 negative number in the county clerk's building. We'll be talking about that later. We closed,
$424.
what'd I say?
You said
$4,000.
$424.
It's not a small.
Dollars.
number.
$424.
Start moving those decimal points.
Hey.
It's been a long day. But anyway, that was a bill that came in. We thought all the bills were in for the clerk's building. We transferred money out into the jail for remediation, so we're just gonna, to expansion, so we're just gonna move that back and cover that balance. Oh, yes, and there is a, energy project, 13,870, and I believe the school board has done a budget amendment to transfer money in. Is that in here?
I think
To
that's
cover
in
that.
process.
It's in process.
APB for Mr. Sandvik, he usually
But
has.
that came through.
He said
last
it might be a
time.
little bit late.
We can change something for the school system real quick.
And gentlemen, I thought it would be interesting, since we have only 2 more months left in this fiscal year, for the finance director to sort of look at the expenditures to date and do just a quick comparison to some of the departments in previous years.
In the general fund, I'm on page 5, where we are 80% expended. Last year at this time, we were 78.47% completed, and the year before that was 78.54. So we're running a little ahead of where we have been in the last 2 years in the general fund. In solid waste, we're real close to where we were. We're showing 71.89% expended. Last year was 71.57. The year before that was 70.66. And the ambulance fund, we were 75.14 complete. That compares to 76.36 where we are this year. And let's see, I did highway was the other one I looked at on page 17. We're 60.5% expended. Well, we were 65% expended last year and 58.92 in the year before that. On schools. We're 78.28% expended. That compares to 78.33% in the prior year and 79% in 08-09.
It is.
Yes, sir.
Move to report.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Any further discussion or questions for Mrs. Nolan? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, that motion carries. If you will locate your packet of information, we will begin from our insurance director with her financial report, and then she will introduce some guests as she deals with some recommendations from the insurance committee.
Good evening. If you go to Fund 264, we'll start with that particular report. Looking at the month of April, we ended on a per employee per month basis of $569.87. That's compared to prior year for same month experience of $697.74. Our year-to-date average is $654.40. If you will look at our total per employee per month to the right side of the page, for the month of April, we are at $621.46 compared to prior year, which is $730.22. Year-to-date average is $685.53, with the total year-to-date average of prior year being $718.92. We're still trending downward for our current fiscal year. Our net OPEB obligation is currently at $39,838,752. Any questions on this particular report? If not, we'll move to Fund 266. Year-to-date, we're at $765,395. That compares to prior year where we were at $823,139. We had one legal bill that exceeded $6,000 in this particular month. But our cost of representative, 70% being OJI cost and 30% represent work comp costs for this particular month. And we currently have 21 open worker comp claims. Any questions?
We need a motion on financials, gentlemen.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer. Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Questions? Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. That motion carries. Mrs. Stinson, the next was a recommendation about rebidding a long-term disability.
Yes, I just wanted to make the committee aware that the insurance committee did vote to have our long-term disability put out to bid beginning for 2012. We're at the end of our 3-year contract with Hartford, so we will have that going out to bid as well.
And the next recommendation from the insurance committee was on-site medical clinics.
Yes, if you refer to the color-coded chart, I'll start there. Just to give you a little background, we had 4 bids submitted by the due date and time. And of those, it was with Concentra, HealthStat, Cigna, and Take Care. 3 companies were interviewed by a subcommittee, and from those interviews, 2 companies were selected as finalists and approved by the insurance committee, and that was Take Care and Cigna. Last week, the insurance committee decided to move Take Care forward in the process, and I'd like to walk through the financial proposal that they provided to us here. If you will, to my right, I have Mr. Joe Rosado with me today from Take Care, and I have Mr. Adam Terry. Adam is the money man, and Joe is the sales guy, just to let you know. So if you have any questions, you can direct it to the right person. If you refer to the orange column, I'll walk you through their financial proposal. To start with, their financial proposal that they have in front of us has a couple of things around it not noted on this particular sheet. One, the all-in costs for them that they proposed are less than our actual spend rate for 2010. Additionally, they have offered performance guarantees based on multiple factors. That is in regard to employee satisfaction, performance from an employer perspective, and a financial performance component where they put 100% of their management fee at risk at some point. The startup cost, as noted on this particular sheet, represents as if they were coming into a clinic and they had to bring in all the components of the clinic with them. So that would include equipment purchases and a full stocking of that particular clinic. What will happen is, should they be awarded the contract, they will actually go in and audit the clinics and see what they actually need. So it is our full expectation that that number will actually lower. The program cost that we have here is the management fee and the expenses related to the clinics, not defined elsewhere on this particular chart here. These supplies and labs, That is for clinic supplies and lab costs associated with all the services as well as the health risk assessments. The personnel cost is the labor cost for the clinic staff. And I think one thing that is unique in their offering from what we currently have is it will be a dedicated staff that will work full-time for the employees of Rutherford County inside of those clinics. And the overall cost for that arrangement is noted here. Pharmacy has been included in the cost elsewhere on this particular chart. Information technology comes in at $67,966.
What's that include?
Your ITs for all your application licensing, so for your electronic medical record system, for logging all of your services that are provided at the on-site to keep up with all of the data warehousing, the actual connectivity associated with running the software as well, encompasses all of that.
The encounter processing that is here, you'll notice that the HRA shows is not included, and I'll speak to that later on. The encounter processing is actually, some particular vendors will roll that cost into their IT. Take Care breaks that out, and that's basically the transfer of information into Cigna, which is vital to our ability to appropriately manage our program and to know where our needs are and where our actual expenses are being incurred. The total cost that they had proposed through the RFP process was $1,539,712. When we interviewed them and we talked about the needs of our employees and what we currently would like to see happen inside of our clinics, the additional costs that were brought forward was $213,805. And that includes additional admin staff that we requested so that we can better manage our clinic appointment times, our clinic services. It includes our health and wellness population management as well. One of the things that we will have through their offering is a full-time health educator. As an example, if we see a rise of a certain health status, we have an obesity issue in a particular segment of our population, we could send that person out and they could do a specific training for them. The annual cost, excluding startup, is being proposed at $1,753,518, which is a 5% reduction over our costs we incurred in 2010.
Excluding startup costs.
Correct.
There was a lengthy presentation by both companies at the insurance committee and a couple-hour-long meeting that wasn't all dedicated to this, but the recommendation was unanimous, I do believe, from the insurance committee.
Correct.
Yes.
For this company.
What we're looking to do is not just to replace our current services that we have in place, but to be able to capture that data that's missing today that, as I indicated earlier, is vital in what we're trying to do, which is to offer an avenue of service to our employees at a reduced cost. And we need to see how we can better manage that. Having the dedication of staff will also prove to be beneficial to our employees because they will have that familiarity. We won't have physicians who also have private practices in the community that are concerned about that private practice during the time that they are working inside the Rutherford County clinics. Having the health educator will be additional support. Having some of the operational people inside the clinics will also give us greater ability to offer more services, more appointment times inside our current cost structure.
Were some of those services not provided in Cigna's bid?
Some of the services were redundant in Cigna's bid. I think the deciding factor with Cigna is that there were a lot of services built into our admin side. So our current medical administration arrangement, example that would be the HRAs. And Cigna goes, their contract ends June the 30th of next year. So should we ever change medical administrators, then we have unknown expenses that would immediately be incurred into our clinic. So that 32% reduction that you see is really not an accurate number because those costs are built in somewhere else. I'll give you an example. Currently we pay $2.75 per employee per month for 2 disease management programs. If we had to go out and purchase a full wellness program, you could expect that cost to be upward of $5 very easily. And so some of those unknowns and they had only been in business for 4 years as well. And I think those two things were really what was the deciding factor.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Yes, on the same issue, but then again not. What happened to our other guys? They just didn't bid?
They didn't get their bid in within the required time frame. They submitted a bid after the 4 o'clock due time.
It's pretty bad on their part.
Yeah, we had actually submitted that to legal for review, and it was upheld that that was a disqualified bid, so it's very disappointing.
The startup cost, I mean, I understand startup costs, but as far as what they're leaving,
Everything is ours.
It's all
that's
ours.
what I was thinking, it's all ours, but it's just. I
They
mean,
had to present a worst-case scenario, more or less,
This is a
whether it's
budget.
if they walked into a bare room.
Okay.
Because they haven't
They
had
don't
the
know what's
opportunity to
there yet.
inventory what's there.
That's
That
exactly.
number will drop like a rock, you know,
Yes, it
basically.
should. I mean,
Yeah.
that number should come down significantly based upon the fact that you own your clinics.
Yeah.
The supplies, furniture, so on and so forth is theirs. It's there, it's Rutherford County's. So we have to, when we do our bid, our bid is based upon more or less a budget. So we look at everything from a bare bones perspective and put a number out there that there's no way that you will spend more money in this budget, but chances are it'll be less expensive than the overall budget.
But we have an inventory, and I mean, and I understand furniture and fixtures type situation. The only thing that the variable would be maybe the pharmacy department or supplies that you would end up being a usable situation. So is that the 231,000 that you're quoting here, or is it?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
the all-in cost, so that would be light fixtures, furniture, but that's also pharmacy supplies, Band-Aids, vials to do the blood draws, all
Yeah.
of that as well. Where we can use what's existing there, we will, but one of the problems that we have right now is because of the inventory control process that Cigna has in place, they can't readily produce to me, this is what you have in your clinics.
Carrier.
I mean, care here, I
Care here.
apologize.
Here, yeah.
Yeah, this is what you have in your clinic, so
Yeah.
there's really not something available I could provide to them and say, okay, we have X, Y, Z, price it out based on this information. So they had to make a cost projection of, we'll have to go in there and build this from the ground up.
Well, my question is, why don't we have?
We will in
Or
the
why
future,
can't we
will we
have
not?
a list of that?
We will. Once the contract is awarded, they will have the responsibility of going in and doing an audit to see what our true costs are to transition this from care here to
I mean,
take care.
this is $250,000 that I understand what you're saying. We may not have to spend that. We're probably not gonna spend that, then I'd rather see a zero on that number, you know? So,
And as
But
an
if they
example,
gave
or
you
an accurate,
zero
or a
and
more
ten-
accurate number, because you're saying the flexibility's there, you know? So I mean, that's the.
yeah, I think because it is a legal process and they
Mhm.
have to bring forward all potential costs, that's the reason that you see it both with Cigna and with Take Care of Me. They both have upward of $200,000. One of the gentlemen that spoke last Thursday, is not here tonight, talked about, and you probably have it with you as well, I think that he had talked about somewhere around $60-something thousand was equipment alone built into that $200,000 number, correct? So
Yeah, we
maybe if
have
you
it
could
broken
share.
down.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, it was actually
I
more
mean,
than 60. It
These
was
folks
actually
here with
$80,000.
Take Care have actually gone into each of our locations.
No.
They
They
toured.
have not.
They
No.
have
We've
toured.
Toured.
We've
There was-
toured
yeah,
all the
we-
facilities. the
Yeah, and our
locations.
implementations has a pretty good perspective of what's there and what's not there. Without actual numbers for us to base our proposal off of, because if we had an inventory, a complete inventory, we could have done something that would have been much more succinct as to the total startup cost. But, and with that, I mean, knowing that we're not gonna come in there nickel diming on things like that, that's not what we do.
You gotta get past her to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And Melissa's not gonna let that happen.
And that's one of the things that I did like about them, is that they brought forward on the front end that if we come in and we need to increase anything because the services that are needed, as an example, are different than what is expected, then before that first dollar is incurred, we're gonna come back to you, and actually, it is a process where I would have to sign off an authorization for them to actually spend that money. Whereas right now, to give you an example, whenever we did the 2008 RFP, At the end of 2007, we had about $86,000 that we had spent in pharmacy. At the end of 2010, we had spent about $190,000 in pharmacy with Care Here. But did they come forward to let us know that? No. So the inventory control process there has been lacking, and it's certainly something that we're going to more closely monitor going forward.
The insurance committee spent a lot of time on this.
And we will have at least the same amount of appointment hours that we have now, and at least the same amount of locations that we do.
Same locations, same hours of operations. The expectation is we will actually have more appointment availability than what we have right now for a couple of different reasons. The main reason, though, is on their online scheduling system, you can actually pull down, and I think it gives you 3 different types of appointments that you're requesting. So someone who is on Coumadin, as an example, who gets a routine lab to have their levels checked, won't have to take up that 20-minute slot anymore. They can present to the clinic and see a medical assistant, and the medical assistant will do the lab draw, and
Better time management.
they will bypass. That's right.
So what you're saying is they will look at what you put down on the appointments is for the reason you're coming.
Absolutely.
Instead of putting it down and maybe nobody looks at it until you get there.
Well, that was actually one of my discussions with Care Here this week. They were in the office to see me, and we talked about, because they were asking about the staffing that has been proposed. And one of the staffing in the Take Care model is an operations support person, for lack of a better title. And that person will be the person who actually answers the number whenever someone calls in to do a phone schedule. They will also be managing the schedule such that we can try to mitigate some of the frustration with our employees of, why do you have me put in why I'm coming, only for me to arrive and you not have what I've come for? So we have tried to address those issues in the RFP process and in the interview process.
I tell you, service got pretty bad. But I got where I quit going and go pay mine at the walk-in clinic. I couldn't get in.
Another opportunity that may present itself, if I'm not mistaken
Correct.
here, Take Care is a Walgreens company.
That is
So
correct.
there could be the opportunity in the future to segue into being able to use the Walgreens
The
clinics
retail
on
clinics.
on some sort of basis. That's just an opportunity that's out there.
Right, that's not a part of this cost, but it is something that they do have existing with other clients.
Absolutely.
And that is something we talked about with some of our 24/7 operations. That would be a great option to have as an offering for them to go to.
Additional cost not included line item here from all 3. Pretty significant with Insignia, or Cigna rather, $27,000 compared to the other 2 with Take Care of the 213. That's not this startup cost, and this is additional cost not included, as in what?
The additional cost is the admin person I just referenced. So
Okay.
when we talked about our needs to have better management inside of our clinics, and our needs to not have, currently whenever they call the toll-free number, it goes to Texas, to a third-party administrator that handles the phones for Care Here. And what will happen now is when they call that number, it will go to someone that works for the Take Care operation for Rutherford County. And that person will be able to manage the calendar such that they can say, yeah, we can put you in here, or we can't put you at this clinic, but you could go to this other clinic. The other piece of that is the wellness and population health services. So that is, they had not originally built in the cost related to the HRA. So that is the HRA cost, as well as the wellness initiative and programs that I talked about earlier. And the reason I presented it this way is because I wanted you to see what had initially come in through it, and then what we kind of pulled out through the interview process.
Okay, and one other thing that you mentioned, and I'll let you go.
That's okay.
But you said you'll have physicians that care more about the patients instead of their other jobs. I mean, I wasn't aware that there's physicians that are working there and then also working somewhere else.
You're right, they have private practices that they also have. And the nurse practitioners treat not only Rutherford County employees, but they treat other county employees as well. And ideally what we want is someone coming to work every day knowing that their job today is to take care of the employees inside of Rutherford County, And whenever someone presents to a clinic, they're familiar with our policies, procedures, our employees. And I think that speaking to the operations person, if they become familiar with our employees, then if I call, they already know why I always call and schedule an appointment, because it's routine, and they'll be able to better assist me. I think overall we'll see a better level of service.
And that's what we're gonna have, 100%.
Absolutely, yeah, they'll be, I mean, to say that they'll be our employees, with our benefits, but they'll be dedicated to Rutherford County exclusively. No private practice, no side job, none of that. They'll be Rutherford County's.
Are there any other questions? I know this is a big decision. I'm glad to answer anything.
Well, I think we've asked quite a bit of questions, and it seems like the insurance committee really did their job, so I'll make the motion that we accept Take Care as our health and wellness provider for the county.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer,
I second the motion.
and seconded by Commissioner Sandlin.
This would start in fiscal year July 1 then, is that?
This will start on September 1 of this year.
September 1.
Yes. And there will be appointments available through Care here through the end of August.
My only concern, now we got the motion on the floor, is this startup cost.
Mhm.
And if you watch that for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, well, I really would kinda like to know what that is once you
Absolutely.
get in
Yeah.
there.
There'll be full disclosure, I mean, throughout. I mean, there's one thing we want to, and having as many clients, there's no pulling any punches, there's no hidden costs. So,
Well,
it will be.
not that anything will be missing when, you know, when the old company goes out and the new company comes in, but I mean, we need an inventory of that, you know.
That's right. I think they already understand that the data is very important to me, and so.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all very much.
The next recommendation from the insurance committee was property and casualty renewal. And Ms. Stinson will introduce our next guest.
This is Janet Bowman. I'm sure that you all have seen her here before. She's actually going to present this portion tonight.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come in. It is the very colorful sheet. We'll start off, this is your renewal. The renewal will take place 7/1. The very first page is your property insurance coverage. You'll see in the purple, that is the insurance company, which is Travelers. To the right of that, you will see the 100 million limit, which is what you currently have, with 100,000 retention. And then in the light blue there, you'll see your rate, the 0.349. And your current total insured value at the $1,032,000,000. And then you'll see in the light kind of green, that is the very first light green column is your expiring insurance premium. And then if you go to the far right, you'll see that your insurance rate is identically the same from last year at the 0.349. Your current TIVs is $1,036,000,000, so your TIVs are up slightly. And then you'll see the quoted premium. A couple of things I want to point out there. To the left, you'll see in the tan the engineering fee. Last year, your company was Allianz, and your property had been written with Allianz for approximately about 9 years. Allianz actually sold their book of business. They got out of the public entity sector, and they sold their business to Travelers. Travelers came in and pretty much matched their form. You'll see a few differences, but it's actually to the advantage of Rutherford County. So in that, Travelers actually does not charge an engineering fee. The engineering fee is inspections that Allianz actually conducted either at county facilities or at the school facilities. And then they pass that cost back to you. Another difference you'll see in the far right is the exclusion of terrorism. If you'll look down to the pink section to the far left at the very bottom, you'll see terrorism coverage in the very last pink section there. The 2.5 million is actually what Allianz had built into their form. And then the 10 million is actually what is built into the traveler's form. So when I say excluding terrorism, that means that it's excluding that in the very blue and at the very bottom of the page. It's excluding that full 100 million limit, okay? However, if you wanted to get the 100 million limit for terrorism, then you would actually take that 3,618 and add that back in, which would be that top number, the 361,802. So your insurance premium for the property is down approximately 2%, even though your total insured values are up. Does everybody kind of follow that there? I know that's a little confusing with the terrorism built in and then the limits different. Everything else in the yellow is going to be identical to your expiring coverage. The only difference is in the pink, you'll see the first number in the pink under the inland marine would be your expiring limits, and then your next number to the right of that would be the quoted limits. So you are either equal to or better than expiring on the property coverage. Okay, if you go to the next page, that is your crime coverage. Same insurance company as expiring, Great American. This one actually has the exact same expiring limits, the exact same deductibles, and the premium is flat. Okay, the last section is your casualty. That covers all the items listed to the left in the very first column, your general liability, law enforcement liability, public officials, and you can see as it goes down the left side of the sheet, ACE is your current carrier. You've been with ACE for approximately 6 years. The limits and the retentions are exactly the same. The premium is up around 3% because the exposures are up overall around 7%. Last year, you guys entered into a rate guarantee with ACE. So for the next 2 years, the rates that they quote are exactly the same every year. So it will only increase or decrease based on your exposure. They offered last year, we were able to negotiate $7,500 safety training credit. At the insurance committee meeting, that had not been approved yet. I spoke with Ms. Stinson today. We did get that back for you guys, so they will actually cut a check back, and that's not calculated in that difference there in the light green.
So it's gonna be 7,500 less than the 15,000 something?
Yes, sir. The premium will actually stay at the 668, but then they will actually cut the check back to Rutherford County. The very last page is just kind of giving you an example of the exposures expiring versus the renewal. The first section is your property with the county building and contents, and then the schools, and then you'll see your miscellaneous equipment, contractors' equipment, musical instruments, and then you'll see in the bold, the total insured value, again, $1,032,000,000 versus $1,036,000,000. If you go down to the casualty, you'll see the differences in vehicles. Oddly enough, there's only one vehicle difference there, which is pretty phenomenal considering the fleet size that Rutherford County has. You see one of the other things that we added this year, if you recall, we added in the fire department exposure. So that's included where last year that was not included in the proposal. And then also we had a need under the school portion to make sure that we had hired a non-owned physical damage coverage. That's for any type of lease vehicle. So that was not included last year, and we just actually included that this year. And the crime, public officials, and educators' legal liability, a lot of that it's a lot of different criteria from underwriting's perspective, but a couple of the key rating bases are the number of employees and the number of students.
On the next to the last sheet there, we put those the nurses' professional liability.
Yes.
That's for like maybe our school nurses. That's not our ambulance personnel.
No.
What does that include?
That's at the health department.
At the health department only.
Right.
And we carry for the dentist there as well, in our
Okay.
insurance, yeah.
Okay. So our clinics that we just talked about, they're under their own.
Right, they're under the vendor.
The vendor's
Correct.
liability insurance.
That's correct. Overall, I was very pleased with this, and I was glad to receive the call this week that they would continue to offer the $7,500 from ACE.
you, Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Any further discussion or questions for Ms. Bowman?
Will that address whether or not to do the terrorism one, which rate to do?
Speak to what's voted on in the insurance part about the terrorism, make sure that that's included in the rate.
Right.
Recommendation of the insurance committee is not
Was
to
not.
include.
Yeah.
Included.
To not
What
include.
is your recommendation, Mayor?
Well, let's go back to Ms. Bowman here. There is some terrorism. There's 10 million.
Yes,
10
sir.
million.
We
That's
got to
correct.
10. I really don't think there's much likelihood we're going to get to use it. From the description of how they define terrorism, I don't really think it's worth spending the money.
Right.
I believe that's what she told us.
Right, because you're expiring with the 2.5 million, so you're.
We're
Four
probably-
times that
we're
already.
4 times that, so
Exactly.
let's,
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
So we're not approving that part.
it's
That
not,
was-
it's not
It's
the
not included.
The
recommendation.
recommendation was not to
But
include
not to
terrorism.
include.
100 million.
That's right.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 2012 health insurance premium rates.
Okay, this is it, and then I promise I'll pass the baton. If you refer to the sheet that has the highlight on front, one thing I want to note on the front is that the rates that you will see here on the necessary increase represents an 8% trend, which is actually lower than what is standardly used in premium determinations. Normally, you see somewhere between a 10 to 12%. So we were already using a lower trend rate based on our costs being lower this year over prior year. I have another one right here for you. Here. Just a minute. What I want to point your attention to is this necessary increase line on this particular document. Healthcare reform, as you know, has an impact on us that will continue into 2018. And one of the stipulations under healthcare reform is that you cannot aggregate your experience and your premiums. You have to, beginning in 2018, look at each individual option as its own functioning plan. And you have to build your premium levels to sustain the expected claims experience. And the reason I'm bringing this forward to you is just to make you aware of what we're going to have to start doing in the near future. So under healthcare reform, under option 1, we would be required to take a 32.6% increase in current premium rates using an 8% trend rate. In option 2 is 6.7, and as you can see, option 3 would be at a adequate premium rate based on our current levels. When we factor in, if you go to the second page, when we continue with the method of aggregating the premium pool, what we find is that our claims experience, as we know, is trending down, and our premium levels are adequate and expected to be adequate even in 2012. So therefore, it's the recommendation that on the active employees, option 1, 2, and 3, that we continue with no rate increase at the same county contribution levels that we've applied in 2011. On the pre-65 retiree, the recommendation is that we continue there with no employee increase, both for option 1 and option 2. On the post-65, both grandfathered and non-grandfathered, we have the step increase process, and that is to make the adjustment to where we are actually using the 50% contribution for the spouse and a 25% contribution for the employee on the grandfathered post-65, and the 50% contribution rate on the non-grandfathered post-65. So I'm bringing to you tonight the recommendation that we only take the step increases where necessary, and we remain all premium levels flat with no increase in 2012.
And that is all consistent with our previous plan to
Yes, it
We're in the
is.
third year of this step increase,
We
I
have,
believe.
this will be our fourth year,
This will be our
starting
fourth year.
2012, so we have one more year to take that step increase. And then the premiums, any premium adjustment will be based on the experience alone and won't include a step increase on it.
This is no surprise for
No,
anybody. out
that's
there.
right.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Discussion or questions for Mrs. Stinson? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes?
Commissioner Jernigan, Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Gentlemen, if you will turn to Section 3 in your notebooks, we will begin with the general fund budget amendments. And our first amendment is from the property assessor, Mr. Boner.
This amendment is a request to move $8,000 from his maintenance agreements to the furniture and fixture line item to be able to provide funding for the cubicles to expand his office workspace.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes?
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
I'll pass.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
General Sessions Court.
One is not here.
Yeah,
Okay.
They need to provide funding for accumulated comp time for an employee who is terminated, and so this is a request to move $1,690 from their part-time personnel to $1,500 in overtime and then $190 in retirement.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Schaefer, thank you.
We have to do it. Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes?
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Pet adoption and welfare, we have two amendments, and I don't see Mr. Gregory. Mrs. Nolan?
The first request is additional $1,150 in their other supplies and materials, and they are requesting to take those funds from advertising, medical and dental services, and communications equipment. The next one is.
I don't think it's medical dental services for dogs.
No, no. The second one is to provide additional funding for part-time, and they have funds available in their attendant line item, requesting to move $11,300 into their part-time and $4,000 into overtime pay.
Why are they increasing overtime?
Well,
Because of the
we've had
regular
some
people.
vacancies, several vacancies, and we've had to cover with part-time and overtime.
It's coming from within their budget.
It's,
so-
yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
so we haven't spent the actual salary component.
What's their, I should ask this of public safety, but it hit me after that. So what kind of, they have pretty high turnover out there, don't they? It's
Well, we don't, I mean, it's higher than some of the other departments. It's not extraordinarily high, but it's still more than some of the others.
You may get bit every day you go to
Well,
work.
I think the euthanasia may get some of them too.
That would be tough.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes?
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Correctional Work Center, Mr. Silandi, good evening.
Good.
We're requesting to move $700 from the law enforcement supplies, line number 431, to the in-service training 196. This is due to, we need some more funding to, we have some mandatory in-service training coming up actually this month, and so this will cover us to the end of the fiscal year, end of June.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you. Gentlemen, we need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner
Is
Shaver.
this, over and above normally what we had to have?
The training.
Training.
Oh, it's mandatory in-service by the state is what we're trying to get done this, and a lot of, these three are coming up this month.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Drug Court, Ms. Snyder. And Ms. Snyder has two budget amendments.
Yes, I do. The first one, make sure is the one, I don't have an overtime line item. Well, I have a line item, but there's nothing in it, and we had a part-time employee do a little bit of overtime, so just need to reconcile that in my budget. Excuse me. And the second one, is at the end of this month, April. No, this is May. At the end of April, when we get our April invoice, we'll be out of drug screen money. So I need at least $3,000 for the next 2 months to do drug screens. And as you know, if I can't do drug screens.
She doesn't have a program.
We'll smell their breath, I guess.
It's the unassigned fund balance, the only place you can find it.
In her budget, we think it is, but do you agree with that, Elaine?
I know she's got a fairly small budget.
Yes, she's very small.
It's always, when you see the 39,000 line item, that's always
Yep.
A flag.
a flag to look elsewhere.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
There you go.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Commissioner P., we'll give you just a second. We are on, of course, under the general fund budget amendments. We're item E.
Thank you.
And do you want to do your grant?
Go
I'm
on.
sorry, what?
Your
You have your
contract,
grant.
your grant
Oh,
contract.
gosh, I forgot about that. I sure did.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
And,
There it is.
yeah, a 2-year grant contract with the state of Tennessee
Right.
Office of Criminal Justice Programs.
Right, this is the $50,000 I get every year from the Office of Criminal Justice Programs. We've been getting this for probably 5, 6 years. So there's no match. It's part of the governor's appropriations for drug courts in their budget, in his budget. It has not been taken out of the budget yet. So,
Is it going to be?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
This is a 2 years thing, right?
It is a 2 year, so it's $100,000, $50,000 this year and next year, but they always put that codicil in that if it isn't funded, then I won't be funded, which we hope that does not happen.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P.,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
County buildings, Mrs. Nolan, we have two budget amendments.
I only see one.
Yes, one is the insurance.
One's the insurance.
Okay,
On the
so
next one, on the next
I'll take the first one, she can take the second.
one. Okay, thank you, Mayor Burgess.
Okay, on county buildings, we are moving out of maintenance, equipment, and motor vehicles. We're moving $4,350 to communications, $3,000 to custodial supplies. Next, we're moving from the miscellaneous gasoline account into the county buildings gasoline account, $3,000, and then from unassigned fund balance, we need $32,000 for utilities to finish this year out. So that's a total of $42,350.
What county buildings are those utilities for?
All, just about all of them aren't there, Elaine, but we,
All of them that have multiple departments.
yeah.
And then the last one is to move 1,770 from the employee benefits, employee insurance to the counties, county buildings, employee insurance.
So moved.
Commissioner Salmon, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner P. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Employee benefits, Mrs. Nolan?
This is a request to move 13,500 from the pooled employee insurance to other fringe benefits, which is the retirees' health insurance match.
Don't have any choice, do we?
No?
If we still want to continue doing it.
You want to continue the program?
I mean, but we're locked into a
Yeah.
plan, and I mean, and that's just another one of those things we vote on, which we have to pay. I mean, like utility bill a minute ago. Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Salmon. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes.
What, was that one, it just we wound up with more people in it than we were anticipating
Yes,
to
more
retire?
people retiring. And we do
Okay.
estimate what we're paying, you know, of course, during this time of year, we're estimating next year based on who all have retired today.
Mhm.
And then as they retire along the way and go into the program, we make those adjustments.
From Chancellery Court,
This is a $3,000 request to move from legal notices to postal charges, so they'll have sufficient funds for the rest of the year.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner P, thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. From the Sheriff's Department and Jail, Mr. Russell, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Russell, if you'll walk us through your 8 budget amendments?
Was that all? Okay. Number one, let's see, we had some money come in from other contracted services through government, which means some money came in from some programs that we do, and we're gonna put that into our in-service training account. Number two is, of course, we've recycled some more material as usual, so that's going back into our repair and maintenance on our building for the jail. The number three is money that sits in the judgment accounts, and we're gonna transfer $4,000 out of there for our CID team to go do their in-service training, which I think is a normal thing that they do every year. So, and then we had contribution money come in, and we're gonna put that into office supplies for our sheriff's side.
On that in-service training, why are we over on that?
On which one? Well, we're not over, we don't need the money in there. It's part of, well, we have to put it in there so that then the detectives can then use those funds. That's their money that goes into an account for,
That's
I
for them.
forget where it comes from.
Well, I mean, the account, the 505 judgment is
Yeah.
for detectives,
It's
and
for
then they're just
detectives.
moving part of their portion into in-service training,
So
so
that
that
can then be
the
used properly
expenses.
out of that account. The next one, number 5, is for what we're wanting to do. Everybody's got these issued right here from the jail. It's just an ID badge. We're gonna go to proximity cards so that you can, number one, this is the first phase, is to get in and out of the building. We're also going to electronic time cards. That's gonna reduce our overtime. won't have paper all over the place, things of that nature. So eventually, these are gonna have, they'll all have a chip on them to start with, but eventually they're gonna use to be clocking in, clocking out, as well as ingress and egress out of the building. So we're wanting to take $56,540 out of the litigation fund to pay for those improvements, or to pay for that equipment. Now, it will be for the card printer and the ID bed, the printer, and then the things that read them at certain locations for in and out of the building right now. And so that's where that's going. Then the number 6 is for repair maintenance of equipment. We're going to pull money out of there and put it into data processing for more computer equipment. Number 7 is some money that came in through donations, and we're going to put that into our other charges, $499, just miscellaneous account. And then, the other one here.
The overtime, the 5,000.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I brought that with me or not. You got that? Sorry about that. That was one I left on my desk. Probably got buried in here somewhere. Yeah, the jail budget has run short of overtime money, so we're going to pull funds out of the overtime amount and put it from the salary side and put it into the overtime account. And it was due to comp time buybacks, mainly. And I am working on that for, in the future, to kind of reduce that, our long-term exposure on that too, so, because I don't like the way that's running right now, so, anyway. And so that's all we got. Did you want to do the other one too, or you want to do that one?
Well, that's a separate fund.
That's it, okay, all right. So that's all I have tonight, gentlemen. Here's your copy. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, number 5, the scanning badges, can we do that one separately? I'm making a motion to approve all of them other than number 5.
Your motion is to include all
To
except,
approve all
except number 5.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bond,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Okay, now we need to focus on number 5.
I voted against that in public safety. You know, I didn't get into that much. I'm very familiar with card scanning systems, and to me, it's not a very secure system. And that's what we're planning on using to go in and out of the jail. You know, I'm skeptical of it, and I can't see spending the money for it until I see a lot more detail on how secure it would actually be. They're using a push-button code now,
Yes, sir. Scramble
which,
that, yeah.
you know, they have to change the password if they have somebody leave or come, something like that. But I don't know how many of y'all have used scan tags like that, but like I said, it's, you know, not the most secure way of locking a place up, and something as security intense as a jail should be. I'm skeptical of, you know, those doing the job.
Well, we did use them at Barrett for 2 years when I was down there. For the last 2 years I was employed there. And they were pretty effective. We were able to, the nice part of that was we were able to develop reports of who came in and out. We also used them as a time clock piece as well. And it did cut our overtime by about 25%, which is kind of nice. But the big thing was that the in and out of the building was definitely controlled. We actually had a side door a lot of the hourly employees went in and out of. And it was able to, we were able to actually tell when they came in and out of the building, and then whether they clocked in and out or not, and if they were dilly-dallying around or they were waiting at certain times. It kind of cleared up a lot of mystery on the timesheets.
I understand, and I can see the help on the timesheets.
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
We used them all the time down at Textron. We had good results with it.
I kind of like the idea of being back up for the time cards, even tell
Yes, sir. Yeah.
when they leave in Canton. You probably could tell who's in the building, who's out, and things like that.
And the Gordon Reagan time clock that we're using, this is the company that they recommended to go with long-term if we're going to do that, because of the, I've already started moving. We've got 2 departments on now. I've got 2 more in transit going to the electronic time clock now. And
Right now, they're
punching in on it.
Yeah, right now they're doing PC and, through it.
But they've gotta
because
get
it's
in
all
and get to
web
their
now.
computer and all,
Right.
type in.
Right, yeah.
How's that gonna work with your deputies that you were telling us you were wanting
Oh, yeah.
laptops so they could do their reports, so they wouldn't have to go back to the jail?
Those
How you
guys will
gonna do your
probably
time?
still do
What he's saying, he
the
didn't like it.
web-based log on. We're kind of having to figure out what works best for each department as we go. That's why we've been breaking them up a little bit.
You're talking about for doing their time sheets?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. And we feel like, you know, because they'll have the air card, so they'll be able to log on to the website and then just go ahead and clock in then, and then they'll be able to do all the paperwork anyway. But for like employees going out of the building, so basically for deputies, and they'll still just use this as a door pass, just to kind of go out the door. There'll be separate readers for the time clock entry. So the one that just goes walk in the door won't be clocking you in and off the clock. You don't have to actually go to a different station for that, so.
But you can use the same card.
That's the same card, yeah, yeah. One ID, whole 9 yards, so.
So y'all checked it out as far as other facilities using this type of program? There's not a better system out there?
No, we have not. This was recommended by Gory Reagan. We use Gory Reagan at the county
It's
for time.
This is a twofold thing.
Twofold deal, yeah.
The card will be used for one access, and I think that's what the money is for.
That's what originally this
The
is
money
for, is in and out of the building, yeah.
In and out of the building. The
Right.
secondary use of the card is clocking in and out, which is a separate piece of equipment.
You want another company that wouldn't work with that time card?
I don't-
Because usually this is a company that's working.
With our
they're
time
meshing
clock
together.
company, yeah, yeah. It's Gory Reagan.
Okay.
Well, it's not
Oh.
Gory Reagan itself. This company's not Gory Reagan.
Right.
But it's somebody that does a lot of work with Gory Reagan.
I may be wrong on what I just said then. I was thinking it was like another branch of that company and it would all.
That it is not.
work
No, it's
together.
actually
Okay.
it's actually a sub-supplier of
A
theirs.
recommendation.
But their software interfaces very well with the Gory Reagan software, and that's who Gory Reagan recommended that we go with, mainly because, you know, we're already using this one vendor, and they said that the interface of the information back and forth, so we wouldn't have a lot of communication hassles, I guess, for the software, that's what they recommended is going with this company, so.
Well, my bottom line was, you're asking to spend $56,540 to go in and out of a building that you've already got secured with a key punch. This has got nothing to do with timekeeping right now.
Right. Yeah, this was the beginning phase of it, and that's what, we're trying to step it in so it wasn't expensive all at one time.
I want to make note, I believe, I support the concept of where we're trying to go here. I think we're probably going to have to bid this out, take a request for proposals, because this is going to be substantially more than $10,000, of course. But-
Yeah.
So if this is
Y'all
approved,
haven't bid it out?
I think we'll probably have to review that. And
Okay.
we had discussed that previously, and we just hadn't thought
But,
about it quite
yeah,
honestly.
we kind of went this angle because it was one of those deals where we were already, it was not the same company as Gory Reagan, which is one thing, but being a preferred vendor, I guess, as to the communication of the two software speaking, I guess, was one reason why we went ahead and put it on the agenda.
And that's perfectly right. I think we just sort of need to sit down with
we
Lisa
can.
and reflect on
I'm
that.
okay with that, that's fine.
Good, that's a.
But I think you should, if you approve it, it'll be subject to us determining officially what we need to do as far as.
They don't have a
bidding.
number yet, though, if they don't have bids.
I was gonna say,
Should we
could we,
approve the
we
concept or
really
something like
should,
that?
yeah, we really should have it bid out.
Yeah.
And also then, since we're doing that, why don't we have a couple of different ideas as far as
Okay.
retinal, thumbprint, whatever, I don't know what it might be.
Well, actually, the company that does these does all that.
I'm watching too many movies.
Yeah, the company that'll do these will do all those, and it's interesting, and they're all USB, plug it right into the PC, and you've got a thumbprint thing, and they've got the retina scanners and all that kind of stuff, so it's pretty amazing what they can do these days. I don't know if they have voice pattern recognition now, but that'd be something kind of.
That 56,000.
Yes, sir.
Is that changing all the locks on all the doors,
All
all
exterior
the
doors.
maintenance work that involves
Yeah.
in that? That's the
Actually,
entire cost?
we were gonna run the wiring ourselves internally, and then everything else was gonna be done. It was mainly, all it was an equipment purchase. And then all the installation was gonna be done. Well, all the installation of the cable was gonna add another $10,000, and we cut $10,000 off of that, running the cabling ourselves. And you're able to get that done at no expense. And then this was mainly the installation of the readers themselves. And then those will have to interface with the door strikes and then the programming it into the network and everything. So.
Madam Chairman, I don't think you need a motion, but I believe, I'm with the mayor, I believe we need to bid this out, and in the process, to look at a couple other avenues, just so everybody's on the top of security. And I would go with your word on this right here, but it does need to be bid out.
If you just add it to the motion.
I don't wanna approve a number without it being bid, because, I mean, it could be much higher, but then again, it could be much lower too.
We need to approve a concept or anything like that. He goes to bid, he needs to come back to public safety right
Yeah,
now.
he would anyway.
So,
Yeah.
so we may not need, you may not need to do anything right now.
Okay.
We can do that.
We're big on sending you back to
I didn't.
No intention, no intention.
I hadn't thought about it.
Mr. Russell will stay with us while we do a special purposed fund budget amendment. Mrs. Nolan?
Okay, this amendment is needed. This is the one in public safety that we talked about. It wasn't presented at public safety, but we asked if we could just bring it straight to y'all. And this is the special purpose fund, and this is otherwise known as the DEA money, also known as asset forfeiture program. So whoever you talk to, we all call it something different. Anyway, this amendment is needed to budget the funds received from the federal government for the asset forfeiture programs. These funds should be turned over to the county monthly and correctly appropriated prior to the funds being expended. This budget amendment appropriates the funds received by the Sheriff's Department from July 2010 through April 2011. They received, through end of April, $71,996, and interest on their account of $36. And then you see where they are budgeting those expenses, $7,986 for in-service training, $46,776 for confidential drug enforcement, $1,321 for building maintenance, $2,704 for truck repair, $1,807 for animal supplies, $296 for law enforcement supplies, $927 for uniforms, $3,215 for other supplies and materials, and then $7,000 for data processing equipment. This is a catch-up amendment.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve. I have discussed this with Chairman Farley called me, we discussed what was going on. Of course, we talked about this in public safety too, that when those come up, usually it'll be a lot smaller amount.
Right.
That, you know, they don't know when they're gonna get them, they don't know when they're gonna see them, so it could easily bypass the dates on public safety meetings, so it's easier just to go straight into the budget. So that's why I went ahead and make the motion to approve.
And with the transition, this is one thing that got to the back burner, which is why we're now having to catch it up. But typically, you'll see these, if they get money, you'll see these monthly. And we've asked public safety if we could just go straight to you, that when the Sheriff Department closes out at the end of the month, they'll know what monies they had that month, and they'll turn it over, we'll amend it. And public safety, everybody will be seeing this, because every one of them will have to go to the full commission.
Okay, we do have a motion from Commissioner P., and it was seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes. Mr. Russell, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Staying in Section 3, gentlemen, we have an ambulance service fund budget amendment.
This is a request to take care of the unemployment compensation that's in their fund of $2,300, and there's $2,300 available in their paraprofessional line item.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Gentlemen, turn to section 4 in your notebooks, and we have 2 budget amendments from Solid Waste Sanitation Fund.
Yes, the gas in the litter grant function of the budget is short by $2,500, and there's $2,500 they're moving from other supplies and materials to cover that.
I think a gasoline also means diesel fuel.
I think this is.
This is litter
Yeah.
pickup. It's these little vans
I
and
thought that was the
things.
gasoline, oh, that's the gasoline for the vans. Okay. I thought we had a fuel line also. but that-
The next one is
Diesel vans, I like.
to recognize revenue from their insurance recovery, $29,850, and increase for judgments of $29,850. One of their trucks was totaled in an accident.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan.
So we had a roll-off truck, wasn't it, we got totaled, and we got $29,850. Now we're gonna spend $150 to replace it, something like that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I think
It was an old truck.
Yeah, I know, but it was doing the job.
It was-
Still rolling on it.
We were not at fault here. It just happened.
Yeah, but it was getting the garbage hauled.
It was.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum.
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan.
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
Commissioner Pigg. Commissioner Sandlin.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mr. Sandy, good evening. Gentlemen, turn to section 6 in your notebooks, and Mr. Sandlin, you have one motion,
One
right?
building program amendment. Board, yes.
They hate trees over there.
The board and the county commission had previously approved, well, and the board has approved this amendment, of course, the $350,000 design for both phases of the Eagleville School addition. Since that has been approved, we have, and we said we would fund it temporarily within the building program. This amendment funds it by transferring monies that we've saved from other projects. And it also amends $59,184 from the campus school renovation project to the new elementary school's budget for architect's fees. That is the cash that we are using to fund the Stewart's Creek High School design. Lisa and I want to make sure we don't run out of money in the building program.
Right.
So we're moving it as we come up with it. So our recommended motion is to amend $350,000 for the design of Eagleville School additions from $250,099 in savings from the Oakland Middle School project and $99,901 from the Whitworth Buchanan Middle School project, and to amend $59,184 from the campus school renovation budget to the new elementary school's budget for architect's fees as presented.
Move approved.
Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. And
But-
Commissioner Sandlin, you want to make a
Yes,
comment or
the-
ask a question?
Yes, the temporary thing you're talking about there, with the coming out of the elementary school architects and then also the Stewart's Creek, what's the plan there?
Well, the plan is when you go to
To the
the
bond.
bond market, we
We'll
will
replace it.
use unshared money for that. But since this is shared money, we thought it was more prudent to save that for a later
Yes.
elementary and middle project.
That's why everybody's confused. It says new elementary school
Right.
when we're not building it.
No,
anymore.
we're not, no.
It's an accounting to keep it separate and keep the
Right.
monies
Yeah.
clean, so
Mhm.
that we know
Yeah.
which money's shared and which added.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum.
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan.
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
Commissioner Pigg.
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin.
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Do you want to give us it?
I was going to,
That's the same as one
And-
you hand out in
Yeah.
Health and Ed.
Has it changed any since?
yeah, the minor changes
Okay.
since Health and Ed.
All right, well, we'll take one then, thank you.
And this summary has those
Yeah, they
changes.
do.
Oh, here's the summary, give me one more.
These all the same?
Here's it, summary.
Yes, with the black clip, they're all the same, and then there's this stapled set of 5 pages. That's me in the car.
Everybody got it?
Brought 12, so.
See if I can get it.
What about the summary?
Need one of them stapling, right?
The summary.
You didn't get-
Did you get a summary?
We got one coming, I think.
Okay.
Everybody get a summary?
Just so you'll have, unless we find out anything, I go week after next to my state meeting, and I should have some answers at that point.
Okay.
Okay, gentlemen, turn please to section 9. We have a general capital projects fund budget amendment. And this is the $424 that our finance director alluded to when we were talking about cash balances earlier.
Motion approved.
Second.
Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Well, I mean, it happened so fast, we didn't even have time to call her up to the table here.
Oh,
But this doesn't affect
Well, that's right, it's not you, is it?
Lisa.
You all are just here. You're just, oh, well, good, good.
They're waiting for Tuesday.
What section is that?
That's right, okay. Gentlemen, we're still in section 9. We have an interagency contract and project that is water education for teachers contract. And this program is under the Storm Water Management Program, and it is administered through the Discovery Center. What else do we need to know about this, Mrs. Nolan?
This has come up before, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Is
we-
this
Yes, we have done this
renewal
before.
thing?
We had this
Yes.
last year, and it's the same this year. We just have an agreement with Discovery Center to provide the person that does this water education in our school systems.
And then there's also the contract following it.
The interagency contract.
So we have the interagency contract and the project
Wet.
wet contract.
So-
Water for education for teachers.
And that's all part of, all the cities participating
Yeah,
and we're
we're-
actually,
We're sharing that on a pro rata
Right.
population basis with each other.
Public works, they explained that whole
So
thing.
we need approval of both the interagency contract and this Project Wet contract, which will be between the county and Discovery Center.
so moving, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you.
I'll second.
And seconded by Commissioner P.
One thing I'll mention is the reason we're spending this money is because it's a requirement handed down by the state and federal government. And we have to do training each year on the stormwater runoff. So that's why we're doing this.
That's right.
An unfunded mandate, you're saying?
Yeah. Well, but this
We
one,
add that to
though,
the list.
the unfunded mandate required
We have
us to
stormwater
collect
there.
fees in some sort. Don't we collect, isn't a land disturbance fee is where we
Yeah.
get money for the stormwater, but
Yeah.
it's not getting
They
it
don't
now,
re-
is it?
I mean, they don't require the fee, they just require us to provide the services.
Yes, okay.
So it's up to us to decide how to fund it, and our fees right now are not funding except a nominal amount of our cost.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes?
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Gentlemen, staying in section 9, we have a contract with the Tennessee Department of Transportation for litter removal activities. This is on state highways.
And we've already received this contract from the state, so we need, it's the same amount of money that we got previously, so we just need a motion to accept the contract and execute it.
Move it, please.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Next, we have a resolution authorizing submission of an application for a litter and trash collection grant from the Tennessee Department of Transportation. And you will notice that it is a litter and trash collection grant. And we also need to authorize the county mayor to execute the contracts and the necessary documents.
Move it, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
So you haven't got the second yet.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. Mayor Burgess.
Well, this is to authorize us to both apply, and once we receive the grant, accept the grant. It's, again, a standard grant that we've been getting
Several years.
typically routinely every year from the state, to again pick up litter on our county roads.
Move it, both, please.
And it does have an education.
Our match is in kind, man.
I mean, we're matching with dollars.
We are
I
matching
mean,
with
because this grant doesn't fully fund all that we do in that particular part of the.
We're doing it anyway.
We're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
It just helps with it.
Yeah,
Well,
it
That's what we're doing.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mayor Burgess, a recommendation approving the naming of a bridge on State Route 96, the James C. McKnight Bridge.
Well, first, I believe, Mr. Jernigan can correct me, but I believe that's State Route 99.
Yes.
Oh, that's
But anyway,
okay.
the
Thank
state
you.
legislature we just received notice a few days ago that they've actually approved the naming of that bridge out there on behalf of Mr. James C. McKnight. And,
Says 96 on the public,
It sure does.
on the bill.
okay, well, they have, the bill is incorrect. I hadn't looked at that, Mr. Jordan, thank you. But it is on Highway 99.
Whose district did you say that was?
That's in Mr. Jack Black, I believe, or yours.
No, I meant legislative district.
Oh.
It's on 99.
There's,
Mr. Carr and Mr. Tracy did this.
okay, there's some nights out toward past Las Casas, I
Because this
thought.
is last cast.
It's his last Cassius.
Well, that's 96.
96.
That is 96.
Where's 99 out there?
Mr. McKnight lives just past.
Is it
the
96?
Brown's
96.
store.
That's what I was thinking, Mr. Jimmy McKnight's
Yeah,
out
how many hours?
halfway between Las
Okay.
Casas and Milton.
We stand corrected.
What, is there another one?
You got me confused, but we had this school board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought there was another
So
Mr.
Jimmy's
McKnight I
gonna
wasn't
get a
aware
sign
of.
on 99 out toward Franklin.
Okay, all right, all of that, put that aside, we just need approval to buy the 2 signs that recognize Mr. McKnight for $300.
I'll make a motion to approve
Commissioner
on
P.
Highway 96.
Second.
Thank you.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yeah.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Gentlemen, the next item on our agenda is for the budget overview. Let's take a 5-minute break and give the mayor and the finance director to get the materials ready. And then if you will quickly return, we will begin as soon as everybody's back.
Take up these notebooks.
Yeah, okay.
No, we're going with the new book.
Yes.
We're gonna go, how much are we gonna go over? We're gonna start going over it Tuesday night, and are we gonna go over line by line tonight?
Oh, no,
No, no.
no. Unless you want to.
No, I don't. No.
Continue with our agenda, and of course, this is the overview. You notice you have several packets there on top of your new budget notebook. If you'll just locate the one that says the initial overview. But before the finance director and the mayor begins with the overview, I thought this simple summary of the budget might help you to understand what we're dealing with.
Oh, my goodness. Very good.
Yep, Fred and Wilma and Bill.
Now, maybe that will help you understand what the mayor will be recommending a little bit later on.
That's fine, let them see it. It'll be in the paper, that'll be front page.
You know, every once in a while we have to laugh.
Be back there with the peanuts group.
Only the ones who
Thanks for being a good sport. Every once in a while we have to laugh, don't we?
This is fancier than the one you gave me a few years ago.
Okay, you've noticed you've got holes, so after we get done, just to get back into your notebook, so I thought this would be easier than looking through your notebook. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready? On the overview. Okay, talking about revenues, we have allocated the revenues still based in the same manner that we typically do. However, in this year, we've got one wrinkle in the fact with our county cited sales tax. Now, this is the sales tax collected in the rural area. It's divided 20% goes to the county general, 20% to the highway, and 60% to solid waste. Of course, now of the local sales tax, half of it goes to education. Our issue is not affecting the school's budget. But what happened is that Department of Revenue discovered that several businesses located in the city of Murfreesboro were reporting their sales tax under Rutherford County's identifier. So when this is discovered, the state will go back 12 months and correct that and give the city of Murfreesboro back that money that was inadvertently sent to the county. They'll do a look back of 12 months, and then we are going to be paying back to the city of Murfreesboro over 18. So the amount I'm talking about is $1.2 million. And that will, as I said, will be paid back to the city. Now, half of that goes to education. So it really doesn't matter if it was in the county or if it was in the city. Half of it's going to go to education anyway. So that's not the effect. The effect is for us on those funds that was used to getting that money is now not getting it. And then in addition, we've got to pay back.
Are those like businesses that have been annexed?
No.
A lot of them are around the
Avenue.
Avenue.
They just, when they checked the box, they didn't check the city of Murfreesboro, they checked Rutherford County.
Hmm.
And they were in Rutherford County, of course, but the jurisdiction that's going to receive the sales tax is where the sale was made.
Do they do a periodic audit of that or something?
I
to
believe
keep
that
it?
the city of Murfreesboro
City of Murfreesboro might have
energized their own audit.
in their best interest to go out and look at it.
It's left up to the governments to monitor that. So even though, I mean,
But it's not even in their best interest to do it, because when they do it, they get to roll back and get it all back anyway.
It's
for a year.
It's in their best interest to do it. Then it's corrected forward. Some businesses have been reporting to us several years, but Department of Revenue only goes back 12 months.
So why are we going back 18?
No, we're going to pay back.
We're paying back.
They give us 18 months to give it back, so they stretch out the
payment. We're on a payment plan.
Yes.
Monthly payment.
Yes, exactly. Now what happens?
For 18 months.
What happens is, solid waste
gets the lion's share of that 60%. So right now I've budgeted about $700,000 less in their budget. So it's a significant hurt to that fund. On the highway department, there is a maintenance of effort requirement. So when they've lost their sales tax, we've got to make up that loss with something else. So the way we're accomplishing the maintenance of effort for the highway department is to move a half a cent from the ambulance service tax rate to the highway department.
But the maintenance of effort is based off of a bad number. Is that right there? Previous budget was built off the sales tax revenue, which we should not have been getting.
They don't care. They would have
They don't
said
care.
they don't care. We had it in there.
Probably some relief there somewhere if that's.
Well, the way that they would look at it is that it replaced some other local fund.
The highway fund right there. This is public works fund.
Except that the monies that go in to the highway fund for property tax has been designated as being for public works. But the highway fund is losing local money. So it doesn't matter that it's.
Why would they lose it if they're still getting now a property tax they're supposed to get?
They're losing the sales tax.
That sales tax piece that we,
They hadn't been getting sales tax.
Yes, they
for
do.
Public works.
No, but the way that the state looks at it, they're looking at the revenue that is coming into the fund. And they don't care that we have said that the property tax is for public works. It's money, it has to go, it is a revenue source for the highway.
The bottom line right there is public works gonna have the same money they had last year.
Yeah, yes.
If they don't, I don't have a
Ultimate,
problem with it.
no, ultimately, spoke with Mary on how we're going to accomplish that, and how we're going to accomplish the maintenance of effort piece of it, and how we're going to take care of the easements, and we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Fall through cracks, this full commission will put this in effect to make sure this happens. I don't want this money around be in bad shape.
Let me go ahead and address how we're going to take care of this. You've got the easement, the public works budget piece of the highway. It's about $531,000. I think that's right. That equates to what the property tax would be going into that fund anyway. So the way we're going to accomplish it is that if there is any savings in the public works portion, that will increase the portion of fund balance that is for that purpose.
But that $550,000 money you had in there for equipment or stuff that you need.
That's right. I'm saying that, yes, and it's going to stay. It's going to stay.
Well,
But the other piece of it would be able to be used for the highway department.
Well, Lisa, would it be better for us to pull those public work funds out of the highway department in the future so we don't have higher maintenance of effort?
Let me tell you that.
We started off that way
can't-
and got forced to put them in with it, did we not?
Well, I mean, y'all decided to put it in. Once property tax went in, it became a local effort. It's part of our local effort to the highway fund.
You can't-
So we can't take it out now.
You can't take the money out of the highway fund and put on public works off the road.
If they had increased revenue, say from sales tax, so would that not meet their maintenance of effort if we pull that out? That's what I'm saying, is it
That
looks
helps
like
them.
we're gonna hurt
It would help.
ourselves by keeping that fund in there. I mean, that's something to think about. I mean, let's look at it.
We've done
to
that with
see.
schools when we had good years. We've been able to
The switch.
play it
Yeah.
from one year to the
But
next.
this, yeah. But we're gonna have to keep it separate, and that's how, in speaking with Mary, because of the budget, the current budget for the public works part equal to the amount of property tax that would have just gone in there. So we're gonna put additional property tax, and that piece will fund the highway department. just that additional piece,
increase.
the increase to make up for the loss of the sales tax.
I wouldn't take a lot of time on that, I'll
Okay.
just talk to you.
We'll sit,
So we're
we'll get
taking
together.
We're
and talk
taking
about that.
0.5% away from the ambulance.
Ambulance and put it in,
And giving a new half-cent into highway.
yes.
What about the ambulance? Are they okay with the
They're okay.
0.5%?
They're okay.
We don't have a maintenance of effort.
Well, but what happens next year with that half cent? Can we take it
Well,
back?
you could take it back. I mean, well,
I mean-
it's all gonna depend on,
But we have to put into that highway department, which includes the public work, at least the same amount of money we put in the previous.
$1 more than last year.
I've got a piece of paper in here that kind of, well, it is the maintenance of effort, so we can kind of just look at that again.
What's a rough idea what our penny is gonna be worth?
Got that in here.
Okay.
Okay, a penny. A new penny is $575,281. That's the very last page in your document, is the,
As of now.
That's-
Anybody on this commission, even the mayor knows how important we use this public works for.
oh, I mean, we're still gonna keep it whole.
We're gonna keep it completely whole and funny.
I get a little bit nervous when you do
Yeah.
No change there.
Right, okay, so anyway, that's been, that's the fix of the property tax, that's the change. Okay, this is the 7th year of the pay plan that was adopted by the Board of Commissioners. If you remember, we had a year where we held everybody and we asked people who would have normally just stay in a step 2 years, we had them stay in their step 3 years. So in this current year, there are about half the employees that got their step, they've been in there for 3 years, and then the other half is budgeted for next year. We don't have anything budgeted as far as any increase to the pay table. The highway department's budget has in their budget an average of 3% increase. Salaries in the general purpose school and the cafeteria are budgeted according to the school board's plan, and that is a 1.6% increase to their base table with additional 1.4% non-recurring bonus that will be paid for the remainder of their education jobs funds.
Go back to something for a second. We got, this is the highway department again. We've got a maintenance of effort for them. This 3% raise, it's gonna be given to the people out there. And we have no real say in that from what I remember in the past, right? Because all we did do is,
What you did, the last time that you had asked them to not give it, and then they just reduced equipment line item and did it.
well, what I'm getting at though, this is gonna up our maintenance of effort more.
No, the maintenance of effort,
Just on
that's
revenue.
expenditure side. This
Oh.
is, the maintenance of effort is on the revenue side, is that you at least give them an average of the last 5 years.
Okay.
That's what their maintenance is. It's just on the revenue going in. Okay. Now, currently presented, an additional 12 cents would be needed by the county to achieve balanced budgets for the county general fund, which would need about 6.5 cents. The solid waste fund, to balance it, would need about 2 1/3 cents, and debt service would need about 3 1/4 cents. An additional 14 cents would be needed on the education portion for them to have a balanced budget. But it's been determined that there are sufficient funds in the unassigned and assigned fund balances to offset the need for the property tax. And I put in here, just on, you'll see later, it's over $6 million that the school board is projecting to use of their fund balance. Revenue is a big component, sales tax revenue is a big component for them, and we are estimating a 1% increase over projected 10-11. So if that trends better, then that's just less reliance that they will have on their fund balance.
Current year's budget is using reserves also.
Current year's budget was budgeted going in using over 6 million. Sales tax is at 6% higher where we budgeted flat. So we're going to make up that about 2.5 million, I think, of that 6 million that we have in the current year, and then you think other revenues might squeeze us a little more, and then what they typically and growth. So we think we're going to squeeze that 6.5 million that we had going in this year, and hopefully flat.
Close.
That will close that gap, which then, in essence, has money available then for next year in their fund balance. Okay. All right, so on page 3, revenues total for all funds, $427,323,000, and the recommended appropriations at $444 million. Now, of this $444 million, when you count the education component of debt service, 76.4% of our recommended appropriations is for schools. We're estimating fund balances for all funds totaling $81.4 million. Dropping that down to $16.7 million, showing an estimated ending fund balance of $65 million. You can see, if you're at the numbers at the bottom, you see that we're showing a 15.67% estimated ending fund balance, and our policy is 15. General purpose school fund, try to keep 3%. We're showing a potential 3.7%. Centralized cafeterias should not have more than 25%. So that's the test there, and we're showing them at 17. Debt service, we're showing at 50%. Now, debt service, in the estimated revenues and appropriations, there is a $21 million note that is coming due next April. Our budget reflects a refunding of that note, so there's an additional $20 million in estimated revenues and $21 million in appropriations. If you take the effect of that refunding that note out of the mix, then our estimated fund balance would be about 75%. Also in our recommended appropriations is an estimate of $1.8 million to pay interest on whatever we borrow moving forward into next year, which is, for sure the high school.
You said the centralized cafeterias should be where?
Should not exceed 25%. They have caps. There's a cap on it.
What do we have on our debt service? We lowered that from what it used to be. And did we lower it to what?
No, the policy was a flat 75%.
Yeah.
And then it's set to where it's a calculation based on a percentage of revenues, percentage of what we pay out in debt service, your capital improvement plan. There's a whole lot of components. So you still meet that. I have another set of here. So.
Lisa, you got some more about
We're short one? I have some extra.
Oh, the whole packet? Yeah, the whole thing?
You didn't have a whole packet? I am so sorry.
I don't see it unless I'm not looking in the right spot.
It was laying on top of the book.
No, the only thing I had on there was
There's another one.
was the mandates.
Wait a minute, give me that one. You can have this one. This got holes in it.
Yeah, okay.
That'll
Thought
be
it had
back.
another cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff out there.
Lots of stuff out over. Never mind.
Okay, page 4 just is a demonstration of where all of our revenue comes from. 31% of it is the current property tax levy. 39% of it is state revenue, and that's primarily the BEP funds coming from the state. Well, it's all state revenue. Okay. On
Has that
page-
been running steady for the, say, the last 5 years, 39%?
It's in the 30s, yeah.
In the 30s? Is that what you said?
30-something%, yeah.
31 and 39 is a lot different.
Well, hold on, let me tell you what it
Well,
was this year.
It's close is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Page 5 demonstrates, just kind of gives you a sense of what we started with, our original budget, our amended, what was requested, and then what has been recommended. So in the general fund, our original budget was $68 million, and our amended is at 72. The recommended for next year is at almost 72 million. So I'm trying to give you a kind of a overview snapshot of why did we get so, even in our original budget, how did we go from 68 to 72, and then to 72 next year? One thing, if you remember, we started the year out without or budgeting the salaries for the Register of Deeds and the county clerk. So next year, what we've amended was it 9 months? Or 9 months worth, is that right? Into the current year, and then next year will be the full year of their salaries. And the effect of that between the Register of Deeds and county clerk is $2.8 million. That grew our amount of appropriations in the general fund. Our pay plan for that step cost almost $510,000. There's additional cost for the GIS flyover of $430,000, and then maintenance agreements of $156,000. In the general fund, there are 8 new full-time positions and 1 part-time position that cost $435,000, and we have 3 eliminated positions that total $115,000.
Those eliminated from current year or from requested?
Okay, 1.
I mean, I'm just, are those currently filled positions, or are those wish
They're
lists that
vacant.
didn't
Okay,
get
well,
filled?
let me explain. 1 was in the registrar's office who eliminated 1 position. 1 was in the election office, and 1, it's kind of strange the way we did this, but 1 is really a transfer out of actually out of the jail budget into a new position. So I've kind
The
of shown
Human
it.
Resources?
Sir?
Is that the one that, from the jail to Human Resources?
No. This is 1 that they asked for a HVAC maintenance person, and we were recommending just move 1 of your detention officers into that. So that's how we showed
So that's,
it.
so one of those is also one of the new positions.
Yes.
The number goes up
That-
from
yes.
there. Well, I was wondering, so they are current positions. I didn't know if those were
They're not
eliminated from
a
request.
requested. No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
They are current positions.
They are
Yeah,
current
they're current
positions, okay.
positions.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's been some requested positions that didn't
Now-
make
oh,
it
yes,
past the
there's
mayor.
many.
You know,
There's many.
yeah.
And you have that in your book.
Some of them we won't see those that didn't make them past him.
Yes. But they're in there.
Yeah.
You'll have, there's, actually,
Section 2.
it's under section 2.
First
Yeah.
page.
First page of section 2 is all the positions that were requested. 28 full-time were requested.
And we're recommending 8 and 1 part-time.
Yes. Really 7 if you take out that other one, it's
Yeah.
just a move. Okay, so that's the overview. Now what you've got on the sheets that follow are just the summary pages that y'all are used to looking at on each one. But I've already kind of talked about kind of globally. I'm going to move y'all past these because this is just a separate page, but you've already had the information in the overview. I wanted to get to, if y'all don't mind going to page 15. It should look like this. This is the, it's the worksheet for the highway certification. This is the form that we have to send in once we adopt the budget.
Oh, and that's,
Page 15. So I've had to prepare a projection of what I think the revenue will end up in 10-11. We're going to have to watch this closely. Because after we adopt the budget, this goes into the state. And typically we do it after we close our books. And we have to provide and prove to the state that we are maintaining the effort. And it's set up this way. They average out the last 5 years. And then they bump that against what is in our budget for next year to ensure that. And the way that this is set up, and this is with the additional ½ cent going in, 4.3 is the average that we have to meet. And the way that this budget is set up is 4.3, 4,312,000.
well, how last year did we meet it? Because it was lower than at least the 4 previous years.
It's just the average, just the way.
Yeah, okay, but if we'd have gone back to 2005, 2006, okay, that's the 5th year ago from the year we're presently in. And, you know, it would have had to been a lot less than all those other ones for us.
But it's an average.
It's an average.
Yeah.
But what we gave locally last year is less than any of the 4 previous years. So how could that be an average? That means that
it's an average. See, the way that what's hurt us is just look at we've had reductions.
Mm-hmm.
And we've lost it in mineral severance.
That's gone to less than half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wheel tax is pretty steady. The other local taxes and revenue, that's interest. There's your reflection of how interest is done. Ugh.
In my opinion, that's a flaw in the legal system. Because like in the mineral and severance tax, it's gone from $641,000 in 07, 08 to $235. $231 the prior year. There ought to be the economy's going straight down the hill, or has been. It may have bottomed out, but now we're having to keep our expenditures up or our revenue up going in there. There ought to be an accountability. I guess we need to tell our representatives in that.
Same thing with the school system. What is this other total taxes and revenues, Lisa? I mean,
that's interest.
We're down to basic. That's the 21,000. We were as high as 300,000.
That's interest.
Wow, just between that and the severance tax, I mean, those two
are hard.
That's major.
So anyway, that loss of sales tax definitely had an effect on us. Do you remember that budget amendment we had to do, and I had, we increased the mineral severance budget because they didn't like the way that I presented how we would be using. When I completed this last year, I said, in my mind, it's like, okay, we're losing revenue. We might need to use some of that property tax that was going to, or something that was in fund balance, and and match it. They didn't like that, so they told me to just adjust my mineral severance. So as you go through, you can see what I've estimated for mineral severance that kind of offsets. I'm not gonna get it, but I'll budget it.
We're really not gonna get the 235.
No, we'll get the 235, we're not gonna get the 430. But that 430
Oh,
is
you've got
average.
this year, but yeah, you're expecting a rebound.
It's an average. It's an average estimate, so, anyway. Full disclosure.
What the county, maintenance of effort is a Tennessee law, right? Or,
Yeah.
but is that nationwide? Do other
Joe
states
Frank
have that?
may
I
be
mean,
able to address it.
what do other counties have that are losing population? Some counties are
Oh, I
shrinking.
don't know.
Are they forced to fund their education and their highway departments if they're having a mass exodus of population? Every 10 years, the census might adjust it, but
On the education maintenance of effort, the second level of the test is your per pupil budgeted revenues. So if you are losing population, losing students.
they factor in the per pupil.
If you fail the first level.
If you
But
don't
you're
maintain
right.
your people, if you don't maintain the actual dollars that go in there, then they say, well, I'll go, why? Well, that's because we have less
So you
kids
do have an out.
Yes.
in schools.
If you
in
lose
the schools.
1,000 students that move away because of the economy, a plant shuts down.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, it's somebody like Metro is getting rid of teachers right and left. Okay? They've already been told, I mean, high schools, you're talking, smaller high schools having to get rid of 20. A larger one is getting rid of 30.
But they're increasing their total expenditures. They're increasing that budget about 40-something million dollars, I think. I mean, it's a large increase, even though their population of students may be flat at best.
So, my summary is that we're maintaining our policies, but we are smack dab down to the wire. We don't use those accounts. Smack dab. That's that new accounting.
So, go back, what are total, when you put all those things in that you said and everything, but we get more sales tax, this and that, where are we right now? How much in a hole? Is it 4 million on?
4 million on the general fund.
County general.
4 million. 6.6, almost 6.7 million on schools.
But that
point.
hole's gonna close, he said.
Well, I mean, no, I'm talking,
On the school part.
I'm talking about next year.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking
That
about
hope it
next
close
year.
next year, too.
We hope it will close next year also. That's fine. Yep. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah, last page.
What was the penny
Worth,
the
it's
previous year? This year?
current year, hold on. I knew somebody was gonna ask me that. It's not that much difference.
It was like 550 something, wasn't it?
No, it's,
She said 575, 281.
575, 281 is the new penny, is any additional penny.
Yeah, the tax relief.
Okay, last year, a new additional penny was 573, 900, so it's not much.
Very little change.
Very little change, and then overall, it was 578, 559, and this is, I'm predicting 579, 698. These were the assessments, this was built on the assessments about 2 weeks ago, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. They did provide another assessment that had about $13 million more in assessments. It's not gonna change that much, but we'll check this again in June to see if we can make, just like we do every year, to see if there's any basis for upping the assessments.
Gentlemen, any questions or comments?
Well, I'll make one comment. Our next meeting, and I didn't know the exact date beforehand, I won't be able to be here next Tuesday. We've got a daughter that's graduating from college at the UT, and I'm gonna be there.
Of course you are.
Congratulations.
Yes. So we'll miss you on May the 10th, right?
That's correct.
Is there any other business that needs to come before this committee? Okay, yes, you may take your notebook and then add this packet that we just had just now to your notebooks. And we will meet again May 10th, and that's at 5:30. Gentlemen, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.